Well, Happy New Year's, everybody. I was not planning on doing a video until next week, but something caught my attention today with respect to the counter signal and the little bit of surprise, I guess, by the crew over there about some of the hiring practices, I guess, for the United Conservative Party and the fact that they are using diversity, equity, and inclusion to hire, I guess, some prison staff. So they couldn't understand this, but the reality is politicians, all of them, are going this way in the ESG governance, DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And Danielle is no different, sadly, on some of the more contentious issues that we're seeing here in our own province. And I understand her reason for trying to avoid the direct confrontation as far as publicly coming out to support one way or the other as you try to win over and unify the province. And she's been doing that very well on the economic side and bringing the fight to Ottawa and, the oil and gas but even there's concessions to be made. She's had to play along. Not that she's playing along. I think she honestly believes that, carbon dioxide is a pollutant and, global climate change is a real scenario that needs to be addressed. I don't happen to, buy into the man-made carbon criteria, and even if Canada became a national park, there's really nothing we can do about that. But even on the DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, you have to understand that Danielle has family that is non-binary, and it puts her in a very different position, and she has her own opinions on these matters as well. Now, do I believe that these issues need to be addressed? And it is okay to have your own opinion, but I think most Albertans would agree that this should not become a hiring practice. Diversity, equity, inclusion, you should be hired based upon your skills, your competency, whether you can do the job, whether you're the best person to do the job, not whether you're homosexual, straight, non-binary, whether you're black, you're white, or whether you're Jewish or English or European or Catholic. I mean, none of that has, in my opinion, any place in hiring. And what we're seeing with diverse equity and inclusion is reverse discrimination. So realistically now what's happened is if you are, for example, a white young man, for example, you're at a real disadvantage in trying to find a job today, unless you're creating your own. Because if diversity, equity, and inclusion, everybody else but you is going to have an advantage. And that's not what hiring practice is supposed to be, and especially within the provincial government. So in my opinion, ESG and diversity, equity, inclusion. So ESG is the environment, social governance. Again, more policies around a political agenda. They have no place. You're seeing them in corporate boardrooms. You're seeing them in investment decisions that are being made. You're seeing them in the banks, what they're using as criteria to either fund or not fund particular projects based upon environmental considerations, as well as social considerations, DEI, as well as governance. And this is the problem that I have with everything, is like, I thought we were supposed to have one rule of law that applies to everybody equally. This is not about creating equal outcome. This is about creating equal opportunity. So I thought that I would share this today because, we have to get off to a right start with our new year. 2024, I think, is going to be a very challenging year in a lot of ways for a lot of people, but it's very important that we start addressing some of these core critical issues, especially as to who we are as a province. What is the culture? What is it that we value here? And I think family values are critical, and I think basic understanding of male and female and how they fit in. I'm not talking about what you choose to identify as, that's entirely up to you, but I think if we lose the foundations of our culture, the foundations of, the house which we're building called Alberta, then we are lost. We are going to go down completely wrong paths on this. So I know Danielle Smith, our premier, she's doing a fantastic job when it comes to managing and bringing people together and the fight against Ottawa. But you can only run from these issues for so long. At some point here, this is going to come to a front. She's going to have to make a decision as to how Alberta is going to choose to hire and grow in the future. And either we're going to do that under one law where everybody has equal opportunity, or you're going to do this under ESG and diversity, equity, inclusion, which I don't think that's how the majority of Albertans feel. I don't think anybody should be discluded from applying for a position. Absolutely not. I don't care who you are, how you identify, but what needs to happen is we need to get back to basic understanding of competency, of skill, education. We need to get on, the right people into the right positions for the right reasons. And ESG and DEI are just not the right reasons, and we're not hiring the right people oftentimes because we're discriminating against a whole group of individuals and disqualifying them from even the application process. So I just wanted to put that out there. I wasn't planning on doing anything today, as you can probably tell by the sweatshirt and the ponytail, but I wish you all a very blessed 2024, and I look forward to seeing many of you out and around this year, as we are going to be doing some tours here coming up with the Alberta Prosperity Project, and we're going to be talking in particular about the Canada Pension Plan versus an Alberta Pension Plan. And so check out their website at the Alberta Prosperity Project and check out the dates and where we're going to be. Please, by all means, this is your opportunity to ask the questions, ones that, as you can see, the government is probably not likely to give you all the details and the full picture for reasons because it's political and they have an agenda, as well as, individuals that work for government are often curtailed as to what they can and cannot say. Whereas people here in the APP, myself, Tanner Hindi, the first one I think is Dr. Dennis Modry, and then we have Corey Morgan, who's going to be joining us for some of these tour events. And we're not beholden to what, government agenda is or what can be politically correct to say or not correct to say. We will answer your questions truthfully and honestly. And as a chartered investment manager and somebody who's been following geopolitics and economics for, decades now, I think we have a perspective, and at least I know I do, and I know Tanner in particular, on the economic side is just brilliant. We have perspectives and things that we bring to the table that sometimes the government has not even really thought about, or reasons for doing this that they may not be able or willing to share. So, one of those ones where follow along as to what we're doing this year. I think there's some exciting stuff coming, and I think as Albertans go, it's time to unify, time to get off the sofa, get actively politically engaged, and if that's going to be from one perspective or one element or one issue, then great. If it's going to be from multiple issues, fantastic, but do something. So God bless you all, and we will talk again shortly.